It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. It's another beautiful week. Yes, another wonderful and, of course, cold and cool week. I hope you had a restful weekend because it was kind of almost raining throughout the weekend. But definitely, I'm sure that you would enjoy the rain during the weekend. Though we have different complaints by people saying they had to get their laundry done, but the rain couldn't allow the clothes to get dry. But of course, at the course of the week, it would have more of warmth and sunny day, we hope. Definitely welcome to a fresh episode this Monday morning, the 10th day in the month of July 2023, on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio on Freshlight. This is where we take you through different headlines, prominent headlines in the front pages, or on the front pages rather, of different newspapers, and of course give you a couple of details of the stories we have in the dailies this morning. So welcome to Fresh Light, the fresh episode on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much for always joining us. Thank you for always watching, and of course following all our social media platforms. My name is Modukbe Akinyosoye. And this morning I have the Punch newspaper, I have the Vanguard newspaper, and I have Daily Trust newspaper. And let's go through the different stories and headlines on the front page of these newspapers, and of course peruse some of the pages this morning to see what's happening in our dailies this morning. From the Vanguard newspaper, we'll start with the Vanguard newspaper without further ado. From the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, we have this big headline that reveals that government of ex-president must account for $5 billion Abacha loot. You get that with several writers from the Vanguard newspaper, precisely on page 5 in the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, we also have other headlines. Lobby for juicy committees intensifies in Senate. Page 8 captures that very story. Curfew as 12 die in fresh attacks on Plateau communities. The rather sad one. You get details on page 6 in the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, on PIA, administrative challenges, inadequate funding, others hinder implementation. Investigation revealing that precisely on page 9 in the Vanguard newspaper. And the Vanguard newspaper also took us to Benue State. Death toll in Ukom local government attack. 8:30. Governor Alia APC condemned bloodbath. Page 6 captured that rather sad story. Away from that, also from the front page of the Vanguard, Buhari not in exile congratulates Tinubu for emerging ECOWAS chairman. 8, revealing that on page 8 in the Vanguard newspaper. 200% hike in tuition fees will lead to massive student dropout. Nat also giving that warning from the Vanguard newspaper, and on page 13 graces that very story. Still from the front page of the Vanguard, we have banks in earnings windfall under high interest rate regime. You get that inside the Vanguard newspaper as well, with a couple of riders. Away from that, on misconduct, PSC demotes Commissioner of Police to DCP, reduces ranks of 8 others. You also get details of that on page 9 in the Vanguard. And also from the front page, I beg your pardon, how Onwadwonk outsmarted Nigi Tambuwal Alero Dixon, others to emerge minority leader. You get that on page 27 in the Vanguard newspaper. And the sport headline right here on the front page also reveals the Man United drop interest in Osimhen as PSG target him. Page 31 captures that very story. And of course, you also get to see a big picture of governor, the governor right here, governor of Lagos State, developing power for Lagos. You get to see that, and also the picture of the president of African Development Bank, Bank Group, Dr. Akiwumi, additional governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the chairman, the Power PLC, Girigo Power PLC, Femi Otedola. Also, you get that on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Quickly perusing the pages of the Vanguard newspaper. Let's see a couple of stories right here before we move to other newspapers. All right, so from the Vanguard newspaper, we'll start with, okay, the economy. Yeah, we have a report from the Vanguard newspaper on economy. More children eat the street in search of what to eat. With a rider or can wash cars in traffic. The economy is not smiling on anybody this time around. While the poor lament, the rich also cry, irrespective of other perceived bad policies and that fueled this hardship. The cash crunch occasioned by narrow redesign nailed the coffin. However, the recent removal of fuel subsidies is now conducting the funeral of an otherwise deadly situation for people already impoverished. An average Nigerian family today can hardly afford a good meal, let alone make it three square. The effect is telling more about the vulnerable lot, the children. And many parents who can no longer meet the needs of their children now send them out to do the menial jobs despite being underage. You get the details of that rather unfortunate situation in the Vanguard newspaper on economy. More children eat the street in search of what to eat. Away from that, we have also, okay, the PIA report. Administrative challenges, inadequate funding, others in the implementation, says, reviewed by investigation. Administrative challenges, inadequate funding, lack of infrastructure, and limited collaboration among stakeholders have constrained the implementation of Nigeria's Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, barely a year after it was signed into law. The PIA, a comprehensive legislation targeted at achieving increased restructuring, more investment, improved operations, as well as enhanced transparency and accountability in the oil and gas industry, was passed into law in 2021. The chief executive of Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Engineer Gbenga Komolafe, who confirmed the problems in his response to Vanguard inquiry, said, and I quote, "The Environment Remediation Fund ERF is yet to be implemented because the Upstream Environmental Remediation Fund Regulation 2023, a major regulatory instrument for its operationalization, is undergoing stakeholders' alignment prior to issuance." The rest of that you see in the Vanguard newspaper. The headline reviews PIA, administrative challenges, inadequate funding, and others in the implementation investigation, reporting that very story. And also a report right here from the Vanguard reviews ex-ASU president Dupo Fashino was never missing, says Lakemfa, former president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and chairman of the Joint Action Front, JAF, an umbrella body of pro-labor civil society organizations. CSO's Dr. Dupo Fashino was never missing. A former scribe of Nigeria Labour Congress NLC away Lakemfa as disclosed. And Lakemfa, who is also a columnist and rights activist, dismissed social media reports that a retired Obafemi Awolowo University OAU Osun State lecturer was missing, saying, and I quote, "A person whose whereabouts we knew could not have been missing." The debunking of that very story in the Vanguard newspaper. Ex-ASU president Dupo Fashino was never missing, says Lakemfa. And okay, quickly taking this one right here. Court orders government of ex-president to account for $5 billion Abacha loot for failing to provide details of the project executed or being executed with the $5 billion returned Abacha loot, a federal high court sitting in Abuja during the weekend, although the administrations of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and Muhammadu Buhari to account for the funds. The court also ordered the government of President Bola Tinubu to disclose the exact amount of money stolen by the former head of state, late General Sani Abacha, total amount of Abacha loot recovered, and all agreements signed on same by the government of former President Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and Buhari. And the Minister of Finance and the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice were also joined as defendants in the suit. You get the details of that in the Vanguard newspaper. Court orders government of ex-president to account for $5 billion Abacha loot. Away from that, let's see the Daily Trust newspaper and see, the couple of headlines on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. From the Daily Trust newspaper, you get to see this biggest headline: why local rice price continues to rise. Millers and farmers revealing that with several riders, and you get the details of that on page 4 in the Daily Trust newspaper. Away from that, also from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chair, advocates regional counter-terrorism. You also get it on page on the page 6 in the Daily Trust newspaper. Away from that, 15 bodies recovered, 78 ounces burnt in Plateau. Macban revealing that. Page 7 in the Daily Trust newspaper captured that. Sokoto butcher killed by Amotekun in Oyo. That rather sad one as well. You also get that on page 5 in the Daily Trust newspaper. You also get to see the picture of the Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the President of African Development Bank Group, and also Gegeru Power PLC, Femi Otedola, as well on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Quickly giving you stories from the Daily Trust newspaper. We have a report right here. Starting from this metro page of the Daily Trust newspaper, 15 bodies recovered, 78 ounces burnt in Plateau, says Macban. The Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Macban, yesterday said 15 people were killed following an alleged invasion of their communities in the Mango local government area of Plateau State. The group also said 78 ounces belonging to their members were burnt, while over 2,000 cattle were still missing after the invasion. Nuru Abdullahi, state chairman of the group, disclosed this to journalists yesterday in Jos, the state capital. 15 bodies recovered, 78 ounces burnt in Plateau, says Macban. Get that in the Daily Trust newspaper. And you get to see reasons why local rice continues to rise. Millers and farmers revealing stakeholders in the rice value chain have identified insufficient paddy rice and poor irrigation that are injuring all year round farming as the major factor responsible for the high cost of local rice in the country. They also listed the near absence of mechanization, insecurity, and high cost of inputs as some of the causes. And Daily Trust reports that despite huge investment in the rice value chain, the price of locally produced rice has continued to rise since 2018 in the country. And the goal in massive investment by the federal government was to help the nation to become self-sufficient and ensure long-term food security, which is essential for maintaining national security. While local rice price continues to rise, millers and farmers revealing that from the Daily Trust newspaper. And quickly, also taking this report from the Daily Trust, Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chairman. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has emerged chairman of the Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS. He emerged chairman at the 63rd Ordinary session of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government in Bissau, capital of Republic of Guinea-Bissau. Speaking after the handover from the immediate past chairman of the regional body, President Tinubu said, and I quote, "We would take democracy seriously. Democracy is very tough, but it is the best form of government." And earlier, member countries under ECOWAS expressed gratitude and congratulations on the successful conduct of Nigeria's election that led to the emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president of Nigeria. Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chairman, the Daily Trust newspaper captures. Quickly rounding it up with the Punch newspaper. This morning, going through stories and headlines on the front page of the Punch newspaper. You get to see the largest headline right here on ministerial appointments. National Assembly awaits nominees as Tinubu sends list to DSS, EFCC, and others with double riders. You get that on page 2 in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, you also have a cost of living. More Nigerians may join Japa train as hardship worsens. You get that with a rider also on page 2 in the Punch newspaper. Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chair, rallies members against coup. Page 7 captures that as well. Away from that, presidency, I worked against Atiku, says Fayoshe. You get that on page 20 in the Punch newspaper. Also, Adamo National Working Committee members on coalition course over APC account audit. You get that on page 7 as well in the Punch newspaper. NDLEA arrests Delta Church workers, seizes drugs in states. Page 4 and 5 captures that Metro story. Also, federal government to shut online banks pestering debtors. You get that on page 21 in the Punch newspaper. 18 Benin Republic bound party goers, driver and motorboy die in Lagos crash. You get a very sad story on page 4 in the Punch newspaper. Also, immigration officer shoots protester dead in Ogun community. Page 4 or 5 captures that Metro story. You also get the picture of same Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Femi Otedola, and of course the President, African Development Bank Group, Kiwumi Additional, right on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Quickly giving you just 1 or 2 stories from the Punch newspaper this morning before we round it up this morning. Okay, we'll start with this very story. Cost of living. More Nigerians may join Japa train as hardship worsens. Strong indications have emerged. More Nigerians may relocate from the country in 2023 and beyond as the nation's socio-economic conditions worsen and hope remains bleak. This came on the heels of the recent removal of fuel subsidy, further depreciation of the naira, impending increase in electricity tariff, and the introduction of value-added tax on diesel amid an already battered economy. The Nigeria economy has been exposed to numerous economic shocks in recent times, and this has led to a surge in the number of Nigerians leaving the shores of the country in search of greener pastures overseas. You get the rest of that in the Punch newspaper with the headline, Cost of Living, More Nigerians may join Japa train as hardship worsens. Running it up with this very sport story from the Punch newspaper, revealing that PSG keen on Osimhen as a Mbappe replacement. La Gazzetta dello Sport confirms Napoli star Victor Osimhen is PSG's primary transfer target if Kylian Mbappe leaves this summer. Mbappe has openly admitted that he's planning to leave PSG on a free transfer at the end of his contract in June 2024, but the Ligue 1 giants want to sell him this summer if he doesn't sign a new deal with the club. And Sunday's printed edition of La Gazzetta dello Sport confirms Osimhen will be PSG's primary target if Mbappe leaves. And Napoli have already rejected a 100 million euros bid from PSG and have set their asking price to 180 million euros. From the Punch newspaper, you get the details of that sport story. PSG keen on Osimhen as Mbappe replacement. All right, that'll be all on Freshlight this morning. Thank you so much for always trusting Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more content and details from our YouTube channel. You just subscribe and, of course, just turn on your alarm button to get update of all our videos right there on the platform. Thank you so much once again. I remain Modupe Akinyosoye.